and determining what the posterity is and what nation is. But they also have this tradition called Metzitza Bepe. I believe that's how it is. And it's called direct oral suctioning. Now, we know the law speaks against the transmission of blood. Blood makes you unclean. The law also speaks against homosexuality. We also know in the law that when you go to circumcise children, that you use a sharp tool and not your teeth. So we have years ago where it was rampant in the Jewish community that they were performing this metzitza bepe, and little children, when actually little babies, were catching transsexual, you know, diseases or sexual diseases because the so-called rabbis were that had herpes were passing them to the babies, and some of the babies actually died. So what is it actually is this process? It says when a baby is circumcised, some ritual Jewish circumcisers, believe it or not, this would also be confirmation that they run this country, because I don't know of any other nation within the states will allow a foreign nation to come in and to have a cultural procedure where one puts his mouth on a baby's penile region, and this is not criminal or this is not forbidden, at least coming into another person's land. So we know they run this land alone, just by having been able to lawfully, in their eyes, keep this practice. But it says, do a practice called mitzitza bepe, is when the mohel uses their mouth to suck blood away from the baby's circumcision wound as part of the circumcision ritual. After mitzvah bepe, some babies can get an infection. Some of these infections, if we go down, it says public health experts have found that, let me just bring that up a little more, have found that this procedure, I don't not keep pronouncing that name, but we'll just let y'all play with it. It says can put babies at risk of getting a harmful virus called herpes, simplex virus type 1, or HSV1. Some of these babies become seriously ill. Some develop brain damage, and others have died. There is no proven way to eliminate the risk of HSV1 infection from direct oral suctioning. And then listen, we're not going to play be cute with the word suctioning. We're talking about sucking. They're sucking on the child's penile region. I don't like the suctioning part does not make it, more socially accepted because they use the word suctioning. Though there are options to reduce the risk. Now, why would we look for a risk to or option to reduce the risk of another man putting his mouth on a baby's penile region to circumcise with his teeth and then to suck the blood from it? And for those who religiously choose to adopt Judaism, how do you stand to the side and let this mohel take your infant and put his mouth on the pubic area? How many ways is this a violation of the Torah? One, that blood makes you unclean, especially for somebody who is not allowed to become unclean, being a priest for somebody else's child outside of their parents. Another thing is the contact with another person's genitalia. Like, how is this even accepted in their community? How is this biblical? This is one of the ways that, this is some of the things they must have did in Khazaria and decided to make it a practice within the covenants that the Most High gave us. Because I surely wouldn't say that we practice a religion. So in their religion, wherever they got this from, it surely wasn't from the manuscript. It wasn't from the Bible. And how is accepted in America, I'll never understand that. Not that I'm shocked by that Esau will make provision for his own, but that they're using this to be identified as this is a cultural thing that has been passed down. Where in the Bible do you see it? Where in the Torah has anybody done this? When Moses' wife's Zipporah circumcised Moses' children, she took a sharp rock. So where did they get this from? How can you raise your voice at your kid and go to prison, but some mohill can put his mouth on a kid, pass him herpes, kid can die, get sick, and nothing happens to him unless they the ones who run this nation? What iniquity did they search out to come up with this? I haven't heard about this in no other culture in history. There are other cultures that circumcise. Even the ancient Egyptians, some of them used to circumcise. There's other nations that circumcise babies. They're the only ones that say, you know what, use your teeth. What is this? What is the spiritual significance of putting your mouth on a penile region? What is the spiritual significance of sucking blood? You know why? Because they do eat blood. Blood is the chief ceremonial importance to any rites or ceremony using blood of animals, blood of people. Are they passing through having your child to pass through the fire to Molech, sucking on the blood of your child, or sucking on doing what they're doing to him? So these are some of the things that the synagogue Satan would do. And this is not just to come at these ish people. This is talking about the direct act of having something called direct oral suctioning, knowing that this thing is killing babies, and the fact that a grown man, supposedly a religious teacher, has a practice of putting his mouth on a little kid, and no police are showing up, no feds, no mass incarceration, no villainization, nothing. And believe it or not, you know where this information comes from? I don't know if y'all check this out. This comes from the nyc.gov website. This is the government. They're telling you that they can do this. Not criminalizing it, but trying to give them means to help lower the sexual transmission of diseases to children. This is what you're telling. The priest or this mohel has to get a mouth condom to perform this procedure. He gets some peroxide or something. They have some ways that they can lessen the transmission of disease to these children to accommodate these ish people. If this practice alone should say who runs this country and who the daughter of Babylon is, who is spiritually Sodom in Egypt, who is crucifying the Mashiach afresh every day. You brothers want to say anything to this?
What else? What the other thing that this practice does is it solidifies, right? The how can I say this? The word that's coming to my head is just the taking something like circumcision, which is a covenant given to Abraham for the people, for Israelites, right? Or well, not Israelites when Israelites didn't come about until Jacob, but a covenant given to Abraham to show that you are part of his people, right? Everyone must be circumcised, right? Nowhere in scripture, like you said, Brother Elisha, do we ever see anything that says you are to use anything other than a sharp knife. These people have taken scripture, taken our covenant, our laws, our statutes, our commandments, and they bastardized them. They turned them into something that's utterly repulsive. I mean, to even think of something like this, is utterly repulsive. And it's even more repulsive to me that they've taken a covenant of the Most High and turned it into something this disgusting.
I want to know why this practice is not repeatedly on some network broadcast station. Why some Edomite doesn't take this as a cause against this practice in these people. They take up causes against our people, the rap music and the nightlife. They'll take up causes like that. Nobody in this country has taken up the cause on this practice. It's not even talked about. We can forget about it. Like a lot of times we see these ish people and we don't even raise this as the greatest contention against them because it's actually something that we don't a lot of times get a chance to think about because nobody else is worrying about it. They talk about us being gangbangers and drug dealers and all these things. These things are in every movie. I ain't seen no movie where they highlighted the fact that these people are no different than the pedophiles in the Catholic Church. The two highest churches on earth practice some form of pedophilia. The Catholic Church running around chasing little boys to the end of the earth. And the so-called Ish religion make sure they get not only the blood, but they perform some pedophilic act on a child and then say it's culture. So if we had a culture of doing something heinous like that, like say circumcising dogs, we'd be in prison. We'd be under the jail. If we had a custom of circumcising dogs, because we circumcise ourselves, we want to circumcise the dogs. The animal rights people, the ASPCA, will be all over us. Somebody would champion a cause against us just by performing circumcision on an animal, let alone putting your mouth on I don't even want to keep repeating that, but the process that we talked about. So these things have gone up like a smoke to the heavens. Like these evils, these abominations, these signs, like the signs that we're the Israelites, are scriptural. They're, prophetic. The signs that they're not the Israelites is practices like mitzvah, practices of wearing all black, running around, banging your head against the welling wall. Like the practices that they're not the people are almost as profound